And the Swami, Keith Smith himself, is ready to make some bold predictions. Do you want me to get you some headwear? I have some back there.
Yeah,
now, your hair's looking quite good. Mine's pretty good, too. And we may be in headwear, or hold on. Santa and Buddy may be in headwear on Wednesday.
No, they will be in headwear on Wednesday. So we should save headwear.
We should save headwear.
Right. Good thinking. Good thinking. I'll share that with Santa.
Keith and I are not vain, but we certainly won't wear hats while our hair is done nice.
I'm impressed with. Yeah, I'm rather impressed with it. That actually looks pretty good.
It's going to get a little haircut on the near horizon. Judah Wickower is our director, and today is going to be a lot of fun. I get to sit across from family and sit. What angle is this? Diagonally from family?
That would be diagonal.
Diagonally from family. We got the equilateral triangle of content right here.
Oh, wow. Whew. Just blew my mind on that.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Judah Wickower's got the crystal ball cameras looking good, right? Yep. Okay. The magic wands are out.
Magic wands out. But that whole equal side triangle puts a little pressure on me. That means I got to get my side right.
Equilateral. All I want you to do is make sure this is positioned in a good spot over there, Keith.
Oh, God.
That way people can hear that all the knowledge you have to drop.
I thought you were going to say sexy voice.
Keith Smith. Oh, gosh. Should I highlight the?
You can highlight anything you want. Just add the comment that I am a contractor and it only took me 2 years to fix it.
I'll wait till the cameras turn on this. Judah Wickower, we can rock and roll, my friend, when you are ready. Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. This show presented by Yes Realty Partners. Say it loud and say it proud. Yes Realty Partners. You can find them online at yesrealtypartners.com. And the Monday edition of Real Talk here on the I Love CVille Network is a big Prediction Monday. The crystal ball cameras are out. You'll see them in a matter of moments on the crystal ball camera and the studio camera here on the studio of the I Love CVille Network in downtown Charlottesville. Keith Smith, the star of our program. Keith, que pasa, amigo?
Que pasa, amigo? I was going to say we got the balls out, but that would be that would be really wrong.
The balls are out.
The crystal balls are out. And we got a little Mr. Predicto, and we didn't get a chance to really do much of a pre-production meeting today. But, I was thinking on the way going in, do we want to table a few wagers on something about, the total number of units sold? And do we want to do that?
Oh, we totally should do that.
Okay, cool. So that when
I love that.
So when I go into the ABC store, you can tell that story if you want.
He bought some booze, wanted to make some martinis, was at the ABC store, Turkey Sag.
Yeah, over at Lake Monticello.
Over at Lake Monticello.
Yep.
Walks in the door and bing, bam, boom, he gets a zinger.
Immediately, as soon as I walked in the door, the guy that's been there for like 100 years turns to me and goes, "You lost another bet, didn't you?" And I said, "No, not yet. Working on it, though."
That's the bet he has with Neil Williamson. I'm sure we'll have some wagers between now and then. My friend and guests of the I Love CVille Network and of Real Talk with Keith Smith undoubtedly have had to use the restroom or have walked in the hallway in some capacity. And one of the things you've realized about our studio is while we have innovative technology and infrastructure, the exit to the hallway, our secondary entrance and exit, is, how should I say, well, the door sticks, and the door has stuck for...
I was going to say it wasn't well hung.
It's the...
It's true, it wasn't well hung.
The balls are out, and it wasn't well hung. And it's 10:20 in the morning on a Monday.
10:20 in the morning. That's right. We're not even 3 minutes in, and we went there already.
Oh, God, I love Keith so much. But Keith, he is one of the most generous people you will ever meet in your entire life, undoubtedly. Not only generous with his money, but generous with his time. He has brought what appears to be the largest Makita drill set I have ever seen in my entire life. Is that what that is over there?
Yes, correct. That is a cordless drill set. It has multiple tools in it, though, Jerry. So it has a drill, it has a circular saw, and it has a little sawzall.
He brings it to the studio.
Because I didn't have anything smaller.
And he fixed. He fixed.
We're talking about the.
I know. I know.
about
This
the
is the third one. I wasn't going to acknowledge that one because people would think that we have serious problems.
Well, we do. We're not normal. There's no doubt about that.
He fixed the door. Thank you so much,
I got
my
to fix
friend.
my hearing aids.
He literally fixed the door. So guests of our fine and fair talk shows, you will notice when leaving the hallway. Who do you think will be the first guest to realize this?
Oh God, I don't know. Somebody that's probably intelligent and sensitive. So I don't know. Yeah, but that's so. Are we going to make a bet on that?
Chris Fairchild. I love you, Chris. I love. I sincerely love you,
tag
Chris
him on
Fairchild.
that one.
Chris
Did
Fairchild,
we just
you're
call him
awesome.
sensitive and
Intelligent and sensitive?
Actually, he is.
I know.
Actually,
Yeah.
he is. Yeah.
Chris is a friend.
If you're a dear
Good
friend,
man.
known him for 30-something years. So speaking of which, he confirmed yes for the holiday party. This thing is growing, man. I know.
Give us a snapshot.
Yeah, man. So I know I promised you.
You said 8 people.
Yeah, I lied. Just a little bit.
We had an idea it would be more.
Yeah, but not 30.
I did not anticipate there would be 30 people on
Yeah.
the I Love Seville network.
Yeah, it's going to be great. That's maybe why I fixed the door so people can.
There's a little Catholic guilt.
There was total Catholic guilt. And then and by the way, speaking of that, today's the first day of Hanukkah, so happy Hanukkah to our friends who celebrate.
Happy Hanukkah to everybody.
First day.
My favorite month of the year is December.
Yep.
With all the holidays and everything we can celebrate. So 30 people on Wednesday, Real Talk, celebrating everything that we're thankful for. There will be libations.
Potentially.
There will be cuisine.
There'll be
and food.
cuisine, yeah. Plenty Seville is catering it for us, and I know Della Bennett very well, and she's one of our third and fourth daughters that grew up with our Yasmin, our oldest daughter, known her since she was 0. And I said I did a Smith. I walk into her little place of business and check her out online. She's really great.
Plenty Seville.
I went blah 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 blah. Here's money, bye, and
she makes it happen.
She makes it happen. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. Santa Claus will be here, sitting in my seat, and Buddy the Elf in your seat,
and Judah's seat. Let's get. Do we have a 3-shot lined up potentially, Judah, or is that asking too much? So we can get Judah Wickower waving to everybody.
Well, Judah is setting up the 3-shot. So
no, it's good.
So Judah and Judah's seat, which we have to make sure Judah has a conversation with Frosty the Snowman. I'm not exactly sure he's got the technical skills to go ahead and direct this show. So we'll have to put you guys together on that so you can.
So Frosty the Snowman will be directing the show.
I'll let him know what he needs.
Yeah, make sure you tell Frosty what he needs. Yeah. He may be too focused on. Is his nose a carrot?
It's carrot.
Yeah.
It's carrot. Okay.
I gotta tell him not to drip on the keyboard though. That could have ruinous results.
That was good, Judah. Where's do I have give him some props over there for Judah Wickower.
Well done.
Because you say we keep it so warm in the studio. That's why Frosty made drip. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Far too warm in the studio.
Far too warm. He thinks we keep it a little chilly if you haven't realized.
I think the man wears a sweater in the middle of August.
The man, he does. He legitimately does.
To go ahead and say that.
He legitimately does.
Yeah, so look, this is all about having fun. This has been, to say the last couple of years have been a little stressful would be an understatement. And it was an idea that popped in my head, and I had persuasive powers over the powers to be here at the studio, and we're just going to set up the food, we're going to set up the libations, we're going to have 2 hot seats. Everybody needs to show up in sweaters, right?
Ugly sweaters, the guests.
Well, there's 3 categories. There's best overall, ugly, and most festive.
That is a requirement.
That in order to sit here, it's a requirement.
And you've told all the guests that.
I've told all the guests that. I fell in love with this new Evite app. I don't know if you guys ever used that before, but it's actually pretty cool to track stuff like that. So everybody's going to get a text later today if you want to sit in the seat and babble with Santa Claus and Buddy the Elf.
And Frosty.
Yeah. And you need to, and we might have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer here. There's a possibility of it. I heard, but I know we're working on some negotiations between the unions, right? The unions are a little bit complicated right now, right? And we'll see how it goes, I'll call a guy, he'll call a guy.
You know a guy.
I know a guy, but we'll see if Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer can also make an appearance.
So they'll have multiple categories of judging.
Correct. We haven't really flushed this out yet.
What are the categories?
Like I said, best overall,
Okay.
ugliest,
Okay.
and most festive.
Okay.
Right? And bonus points for somebody who does a Festivus sweatshirt.
Oh.
A sweater. Just saying, just throwing out there, there's bonus points for that.
We'll see some local Charlottesville and Central Virginia celebrities in attendance.
And everybody from elected officials to business folks to just all the way across the board. We're going to have a lot of fun. And, there's no actual prize other than the fact that they get to brag for a year that they have the best sweater on
The
Real
king of
Talk.
content, Neil Williamson, who will be missed on Wednesday.
They will be desperately missed, but
We hope you can change your schedule and show up, Neil. It was very impressive how Captain America just randomly showed up in the studio. My hope is the king of content will do a drop-in
did you
as
feel
well.
a little threatened by that with all the muscles
Oh
that
my
he
gosh,
had?
muscles
I was very
and abs.
threatened. I was very
I mean,
threatened.
Neil Williamson filled that suit out well.
Oh, that was Neil Williamson?
That was Neil
I thought that was
Williamson.
Captain America.
I mean, he's one and the same.
Oh. Yeah.
One and the same.
Well, I
he
think
said Rudolph might not be the only red nose in the crowd on Wednesday.
I have no idea what he's referring to, but
There will be libations on Wednesday.
It's to keep you warm because it's supposed to be cold that day.
Michael Plecker says there should be a Michael Plecker.
Is he busting chops
There's,
already?
that's Michael Plecker, one of
Yeah,
the Shenandoah
yeah.
Valley's best
Yeah,
catchers.
yeah.
Says there should be a category most likely to get hammered and embarrass the hosts. What guess would that be?
The list is long.
The list is long.
Long.
There are a number of local celebrities coming on Wednesday.
They are, and everyone's. But to Neil not being able to make it, it's. I would love to have him, but I guess somebody actually has to work. But he can chime in online and put his vote in for that. And there may be, they got to be careful. You don't want to zing Santa Claus, but so much because there is going to be a list that Santa's going to have.
Oh, Santa's keeping track. Who's
Santa's
naughty and
keeping
nice?
a track. Santa literally has a list, and the list of the naughty and nice. And if you bust Santa's chops a bit too much, you might get moved from.
Is Michael on the naughty or the nice list?
I don't know. It's he's got a couple more days.
He's got the rest of the year to.
No. He's got till Wednesday.
He's got till Wednesday.
He's got to Wednesday, and we'll see how it goes. Sales always help the naughty nice list too. By the way, just want to let you know.
Oh, there we go. Close some deals, Michael Plecker.
There is that factor in it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun. We try to have a couple of shows a year where we just end up just having fun and then look at the watch and go, oh my God, we just burnt a couple hours or whatever it is. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being with our former guests and friends and just having a good time and see what they're thankful for and see what what's on their wish list and see if Santa can grant it for them.
The mayor of McIntyre, Bill McChesney, hello and welcome to the show. Grayson in North Downtown, welcome to the program. Grayson, chime in with some conversations. Viewers and listeners, if you have bold predictions as we head to the crystal ball cameras, Judah, put the predictions and the questions in the feed, and you will see the crystal balls come out. You will see the magic wands come out, and you may see Mr. Predicto come out here on Real Talk with Keith Smith. Oh, Mr. Predicto is rocking and rolling over there.
We'll see what.
There is no
doubt that Mr. Predicto will be there, particularly since he's in front of me.
There's no doubt there.
Yeah. So we started this a little bit on Friday, right? And
This should be a part of every show.
well,
They're fantastic.
they're fantastic.
And
but-
adds a dynamic element to the program.
yeah, just don't touch the damn.
You
thing,
can't
okay?
touch the crystal ball. We learned that from Johnny Ornelas.
Can't touch it. Which look, this is like we were talking about last year. Last show on Friday. There was a bunch of ones we didn't get right, but I think this year, might be a little easier to predict.
Well, I mean, first you want to recap last year's crystal ball predictions.
No, I don't want to do that.
I mean, how many did you get right?
Let's say I'm playing 50-50. I got the interest rates wrong, hugely. like I think I said I looked at it again over the weekend, somewhere between 4 to 5%. We're not there. I think I predicted 2.5 to 5% increase in inventory. That didn't happen. But I did look in some of the shows in January and February. We started predicting in January and February. That's why we shifted to the shift thing. So, maybe we'll count it right that we kind of there was a shift coming on that end of it. But those two things, man, if I was playing pro ball, I'd be back in Little League.
You're flirting with he's flirting with the Mendoza line. Let's put it that way.
I don't think I get beyond Little League to get into the minors on that. But look, I gave to Jerry. I ran the mortgage rates for the last from 1972. Freddie Mac puts that out. And look, the historical average from 72 until now is about 7%, 7.2%, something like that.
Got him right here.
Look, I think we were always talking about when the interest rates started getting to this 2 and 3% on how it wasn't normal. Certain folks, Mr. Plecker being one of them, thinks that we're going to probably be over the 7% mark next year for the 30-year. I think we're going to hover somewhere between 5 and 6. So, if somebody's willing to put a bottle of bourbon at it, I think I'm
Michael Plecker, you want to put a bet on? Looks like Keith Smith is feeling a little adventurous.
The guys at the ABC store said, lose some more bets.
Michael Plecker, would you care to propose a prop bet on Real Talk with Keith Smith? Mike King is watching in Richmond. John Blair is watching in Stanton. We are open to prop bets. I am happy to negotiate the parameters of the prop bet.
Unless you're in it.
Here on Real Talk with Keith Smith and utilize our crystal balls. So, Plecker, would you care to put an interest rate bet on the line?
And that's he's a little bit weighted there because his
better half's in the game.
His better half is very much so in the game.
Yeah.
And do that. But I really think by this show next year we'll probably be in about the 5.5 range. So I'll make a prop bet on 5.5%.
Oh, Michael Plecker wants to. I love that bourbon too, Michael Plecker. He wants to bet a 1.75 milliliter bottle of Woodford Reserve. So the big bottle of Woodford Bourbon Reserve. We got to get the parameters of the bet.
So and we will just make it simple. If the interest rate's over 5.5%, I lose. If it's under 5.5%, he loses.
Where at what date?
I don't know. Let's somebody look at a calendar and find out what. Let's do it this way.
Why don't we do it by June?
No.
You want to do it by December?
I wouldn't pick that number then.
Okay, so you're saying December 31st.
Yeah. So let's pick the last Monday show of 2023.
All right, we're getting the parameters of a prop bet. The King of Cider is watching the program. Todd Rath and Nellysford. I'll get to this comment in a matter of moments. Jump in, Keith Smith.
Yeah, so we'll make a prop bet. What I really want to prop bet with you is what you think and what I think the total volume of sales are going to be on that. And I want to narrow it down a little bit. I want to narrow it down to the car footprint, single-family detached only, no new construction. Okay? And, just kind of, I've been talking for a while. I think this is going to look more like, as far as volume goes, more like 2018, maybe 17, somewhere in that range. If you're interested, apparently I have to buy more liquor. So
you're somewhere. Jonas Smith is saying, "Give me that damn credit card back."
No. So the good news is I got a Real Talk credit card now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I got a
Real Talk LLC has its own credit card.
I got its own credit card, and Mrs. Smith.
And I'll tell you what, Real Talk LLC has been doing quite well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, not to me. Thank you to everybody that's in the partners tab. Without them, all I am doing is sitting here talking. They make this work. They make us what we do.
And speaking of the partners tab, Todd Rath over Blue Toad Hard Cider, we do not have a libations partner. If you'd like to join on the partners tab of Real Talk with Keith Smith, you would get a lot of props, a lot of praise, and frankly, we would gladly drink Blue Toad Hard Cider live on air. On
You
Real
know,
Talk with
we
Keith Smith.
we do many things for our partners, but we will sacrifice.
We will
things.
sacrifice by having some cider live on air. All right, first we got a prop bet that we got to set with Michael Plecker.
Yeah, I think we said it already.
Okay, so the over-under is at 5.5%.
let's go with 5.5%. Yeah.
5.5%.
Yeah.
On a 30-year fixed.
Yep.
Somebody with a credit score of.
Well, we'll just say what Freddie Mac says.
Michael Plecker, are you okay with this? I need to get a confirmation from one of the Shenandoah Valley's finest backstops, one of the best catchers ever birthed from the Shenandoah Valley, Michael Plecker. He spent time in the New York Mets farm system.
He did.
The bet is 5.5.
The average.
The average,
The
5.5%.
The average 30-year mortgage will be at 5.5%.
All right, so Michael Plecker is taking the over. You're taking the under.
I'm taking the under.
He's taking the under.
So if it
This
hits,
is a ballsy bet for you, my friend.
I know that.
Okay.
Again, the ABC guy said business is slow.
This is a ballsy bet for you.
No,
Michael,
I actually believe it. I believe that. Look, he's probably going to win. I think the 5.5 will probably more migrate into the beginning of the first quarter, of 2024. But I think by the end of this year, you're going to see 5.5%. What's going to kill me is the average. That's what's going to kill me, right? I think we might see a couple of 30, by the second half of the year, some 5.5% kind of stuff on 30-year. The average is going to kill me. I'm going to probably, by the end of 2023, you'll start seeing that number, but the front end of it at 7%, the math is just going to kill me on the back end. But
Okay.
I'm willing to take it.
you got a bet. Michael Plecker says,
I'm in
let's
it.
rock and roll. You
I'm
guys
in
are
it.
betting a 1.75 bottle of Woodford Reserve. More prop bets are welcome here on Real Talk with
So
Keith
what
Smith.
I'm gonna-
Here's your opportunity to do all your Christmas shopping, viewers and listeners, for Christmas 2023, courtesy of the Real Talk credit card right here. Michael Plecker has got a prop bet locked and loaded.
Hold on a second. I got to see how much.
No, go check that bank account.
I
dog.
got to check my credit limit on this.
Neil Williamson says, for what it's worth, Mr. Smith, Virginia ABC offers curbside service. I anticipate your vehicle can carry enough of your prop bets.
Yeah, it
Neil
carries.
Williamson's also got a bottle of bourbon coming his way in
It
June.
carries about 6,000 pounds, so yeah, we can do that. Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit because Costco up in Connecticut sells alcohol.
And you get it discounted.
I get a discount, so I'm gonna when I go up for Christmas this time, I'll pick up a couple of bottles of one for Mr. Plecker, and I'll just keep it in my liquor cabinet until the end of this year.
You'll appreciate this. Todd Raff, the king of cider, owner of Blue Toad Hard
Yeah.
Cider, says, Keith Smith, let's talk.
Yeah.
I tagged you
Yeah.
guys in the feed.
I'm in.
The ball's in your court over
I'm
there.
in.
There is no libation partner for Real Talk with Keith Smith and Todd
in.
Rath. We would drive a significant amount of business to Blue Toad Hard Cider. You have my word. Philip Dow says he anticipates the interest rate to be 4.25%. Philip Dow is the king of Scottsville. That's quite
Oh.
low, Philip Dow.
Well, if you listen to Scott Morris, Philip and Scott are pretty much on the same boat. I think they may be right. I think you might see some sub 5 by the end of the year. But what's gonna make me hand this bottle of bourbon over to Mr. Plecker this time next year? It'll be presented at the next holiday party for 2023.
Michael Plecker, put it in your calendar, your iPhone calendar now. The
I just don't know
bet.
what date that is.
The
I'll
bet.
look-
So there's a
look it.
reminder, and he insists no Kirkland's bourbon
No.
from you, Keith Smith, buying liquor at Costco.
Hey,
He
I
does not want the Kirkland's.
gotta tell you, I'm a wine guy. I prefer wine over liquor. And Mr. Williamson is probably gonna not be happy with this, but I picked up a couple bottles of the Kirkland Pinot Noir. It's actually really good.
Todd Rath, you can help us with this. Neil Williamson, you may be able to help us with this. In fact, all viewers and listeners, help us with this. Is the Kirkland's booze not white labeled booze from established brands? I believe the stuff that Kirkland sells is booze that is
relabeled.
legitimate. It's relabeled for
It's relabeled.
Costco.
Yeah,
It's legitimate booze from legitimate brands. Can someone
somebody-
help me with that?
Somebody probably knows that. But let's talk about the volume of transactions based on single-family detached year-over, no new construction for the car footprint. So that's Charlottesville, Albemarle, Fluvanna, Nelson, Greene, and Louise, I think. I think I got it all right on that end of it. So look, I'm actually preparing for the end of the first week of January when we're going to wrap up the year-end stuff. So I'm start building some slides for all that kind of great stuff. Looking at that setup, looking at 2017, 2018, where 2017 we had 2,342 homes sold. In 2018 it was 2,607, and I've been saying, and then 2019 was 2,007. So 2018 and 2019 was roughly about the same number of units that was sold. So I'm willing to bet another bottle that I think that the number of units sold, and it's very specific. It's car footprint, single family detached, no new construction. We got to take that out because that skews the numbers for that footprint. I think we're going to be somewhere between 26 and 2,700. I think we're going to be looking at 2018, 2019 in volume. That's what I'm predicting. Mr. Predicto and the crystal ball is predicting on that end of it. Sales price is going to be very different, though.
What do you think sales price?
I think we're going to be in the low single digits. Sales prices this is where micro markets are going to matter now. And again, that's much like the 2018, 2019 market. If you really take a hard look at that, certain areas did really, really well, certain areas didn't. So that whole buyer's market, seller's market thing is all going to be determined about, does it hit the top four, right? Right location, right price, right features, right condition, right? If that hits that, it's going to be a seller's market. If any one of those are off, it's not in the right location, it's not the right price, it's not the right features, or not the right condition, that home will be classified as a buyer. So the global buyer's market versus seller's market, like we've had for 2 years, or plus actually, it's been a seller's market. You're not going to see that switch over, that everything is going to be a buyer's market. And that's where the skill of the agent comes in, right? Because you have to explain to your client, okay, if you're in a certain location, that's really a buyer's market here, guys. So we need to be thinking like a buyer, like this is buyer's market. And if you're in another location that hits those four, you got to be thinking like a seller's market.
That made perfect sense. David Varell is watching in the Outer Banks. David Varell, my friend, you will forever be known as the king of the Outer Banks. David Varell
does he live there, or is he visiting?
He's moved from Ivy to the Outer Banks.
Cool.
The one-time franchise owner of Dippin' Dots here in Central Virginia, an entrepreneur and a friend of the program. David Varell has a boat that he likes to roll around with his beautiful family. David Varell,
I got to bring my boat
Christmas
down
and happy holidays to you,
Merry
David
Christmas
Varell.
and happy holidays.
Neil Williamson says Kirkland wine is produced by reputable producers, but he encourages everyone
local
to drink local. Neil Williamson, I second that.
Particularly Well Hung Vineyard, by the way.
Well Hung Vineyards, one of the best.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a restaurant to enjoy, Gordonsville, Well Hung Vineyards.
Well, I bought 2 cases of it for Thanksgiving.
Oh, you did?
So,
of Well Hung?
No, of the Kirkland Pinot Noir. Because
this is where you just say Well Hung.
Oh, really? I screwed up? Sorry, Well Hung. Because that would be a lie. I'm not going to do that to Neil. I buy that for me. For the family and the rest of the folks, they get to drink the Kirkland stuff.
Oh, there you go.
I keep
there
that
you go.
for ourselves.
Mustache Dan Pettit, welcome to the program.
Hey.
One of the finest forehands known to mankind. Stacy watching the show in Belmont.
I have something for Mustache Dan.
Mustache Dan Pettit, what do you have?
Yeah, because he asked about, in my handy little hands, in my 3x5 cards, I was crunching numbers last night. And these are raw numbers. I haven't really got to look at it, but car footprint, single year to date. This is single family attached. So these are townhomes, right? He asks about townhomes all the time. So new construction. I'll just rattle off some quick numbers from 22 to 17. So 423 sold in 22. 505 and 21, so that was a big jump down. 20,404, 19,402, 18,422, 17,391. And I cross-referenced it back to...
So what are the numbers you're giving us here? I'm trying to follow what you're
saying.
saying.
I'm sorry. These are the volume, number of units that sold. The reason I wanted to look at that because I think Mustache Dan's talking about attached new construction.
He
picking up-
literally put it in the feed here. He says, do not ignore the sales in 2023 of townhomes and condos.
Yeah, I agree. So let's just look at 22. Just look at that. So it's 423 non-new construction units sold.
423 non-new construction attached inventory sold.
Versus 166 for new construction. So that is a substantial difference. So the volume of new construction units, and you're going to find them drop. It's kind of interesting. In 2017, between 2017 and 2022, the volume of new construction attached went from a high of 294 to a low of 166, which is this year. So they're not building as many units. Now, some of that might be a backlog. They haven't been able to develop them and get them in there. But I expected to see bigger numbers.
Johnny Ornales says, good morning, gentlemen, all the way from Peru.
Look
Johnny
at you.
Ornales, the
Thank you,
king
Johnny.
of Mexican cuisine, the king of Mexican restaurants, the owner of Guadalajara and the owner of El Mariachi. Johnny, I sincerely appreciated your family's Christmas card with the handwritten note on the Christmas card. It is hanging in our living room. You made my wife and I feel quite very, 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 very special. Please wish your beautiful wife happy holidays and Merry Christmas, your beautiful family. We are extremely grateful to have the Ornales family in this community creating jobs and running fantastic restaurants like El Mariachi in Guadalajara. Johnny, you sincerely mean that, J.O.
So you took my thunder away from me because we got a card too, and it's just unbelievable.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah. And it's in a prominent... Handwritten. It's in a prominent place.
So is mine, that we got.
Prominent place. But yeah, I'm so happy for him and his family to be down in Peru. I know this was a big thing for them to visit family down there, but they will be missed on Wednesday.
Oh, they got on the Wednesday Christmas party. We would have loved to have Johnny Ornales here.
They will be missed.
And his brother Steve.
Yep. So anyway, so it's great that Peru and talk about excitement. Being in Peru when Argentina won the World Cup must have been pretty cool. Must have been pretty
What
cool.
a World Cup match.
That's the reason why they call it the beautiful game, man. That was one hell of a match.
Oh, special.
So I think, I think Mustache Dan is semi-right.
He thinks the resales, he just commented, Dan Pettit, Real Estate 3's finest, one of the best forehands on the tennis courts across Central Virginia. A man who taught me months ago never to play doubles tennis or doubles pickleball with your wife because that could lead to a little friction. Dan Pettit says this, that he thinks that resales of townhomes and condos will be the most sold in 2023 of any unit. That sounds like a prop bet waiting to happen. Daniel Pettit, let's start discussing parameters of a prop bet with Keith Smith on this.
I'll take that because I believe.
You got to start keeping track of these prop bets.
Oh, that's what this video's for.
Do you have a pen and paper? Did you keep track of Michael Plecker? You did?
Okay.
I'm giving you a hint here. Michael Plecker, you better keep track of that
Nobody
too.
said I had to write on this show.
Come on, yeah.
Okay.
This is a prop bet.
So Michael Plecker, we're doing 5.5% on Xmas show, holiday show, 2023.
For a 1.75 milliliter bottle of Woodford
1.75.
Reserve.
Well,
He says, don't make it Kirkland's Bourbon, Smith.
Yeah. Woodford, got it written down. So, Mustache Dan, if he's interested,
I just asked him.
Yeah, I think you're going to see higher. I think a fair bet would be higher attached sales this time next year than 2022. There's 166.
Oh, look at what a nice guy over here you are. You wanted to adjust the bet.
Yeah, it's not
working against you and in favor of Mustache Dan Pettit.
It's not. That's not. There's no way
that attached product is going to outsell detached
there's
product.
No way. Yeah, there's no way. But I think a reasonable bet.
He's a kind man, Keith Smith.
Well, I just wouldn't take it from him. Plus, he knows where I live. So He does. He knows where
I know
live.
he does.
He lives where I live, which is a scary thing. So, yeah, so I'll tell you what. I'll make.
And he's a huge fan of Yona.
Oh, yeah. Man. He never says he's a huge fan
He's
of
a
me.
huge fan of Yona.
Never says he's a huge fan of me. So, look, if he wants to pick a number, I'm good with that. But to say that there's going to be more attached sold than detached is.
You're saying not a chance in
Yeah.
HE double hockey sticks.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see that. I think, or another version of the bet could be, and maybe this is what he's thinking, is that the ratio between new construction and existing will grow, and that's kind of what I'm offering him. You know, new construction 166 closed year to date as of this morning on that. So, does he think it's going to go over 200? I'll take that bet. Or does he think it's going to
Wait,
go
you think you're willing to take a bet that new construction attached product
Yeah.
will outsell new
No,
construction? There's no way it's going to.
Yeah.
The new construction's come to a standstill.
Well, yeah, and it's a little unfair because
The best bet would be this for attached product.
it's unfair to Dan to take that because I just know what projects are coming up.
Right. Here's the best bet. I'll try to set some parameters of this prop bet.
I want to get back to the number of units sold with you. though.
Attached product existing
Okay.
2022 versus 2023. That's a good bet. Will 2023 attached inventory
Exceed 423?
exceed what happened in 2022? That's a legitimate prop bet.
That's a legitimate prop bet because if I'm sticking with my feeling that this is a 2018, 2019 market, it's very interesting. 2019, 420. This is again as of this morning.
point, yeah.
420 units sold, 422. So that 420, 425 number, would be almost matching where we are right now. We're at 423. This is attached for this year. And 18 and 19 we're in the, let's say, almost the same exact number. We ranged between 420 and 423 3 years in a row. 17 was 391. So I guess the question is, the bet could be, is that number going to be over, say, 450 or 475? I just don't think it will, but I may be wrong. There's just not enough product out there. That's the struggle. But if Dan's willing, I just don't want to take advantage of Dan. I love him too much.
And the thinking is, as interest rates rise, it puts stress on affordability. And as interest rates rise, buyers, start looking at lower price points. And a lot of those lower price points are attached inventory. And that's why they start picking up in units sold,
So to that point, year to date, existing, no new construction, the median sales price in 2022 is $345. Back in there's a reason I'm liking 18 and 19. Back in 18 and 19, it was about $5,000 difference. In 18, it was $255. 19, it was $260. So we're jumping from the mid twos up to the mid fives in 4 years. Mid threes, excuse me, in 4 years. So, yeah, I agree and I disagree with you. I just don't. I think what's going to happen. Here's where I think the market's going to go, and it's not necessarily going to be a product thing. And I talked about this a little bit on Friday. The bookends of the market, the upper end, and let's say the entry level, they're just going to be not suffering, but they're just going to be difficult markets to work in. The market in the middle, like this 350, 450 range, somewhere in the middle there, that's where all the market's going to get funneled to. That's where all the buyers are going to get funneled to. That's where all the agents are going to get funneled to. You're going to start. I've already seen it. I'm negotiating a deal for a client out in Scottsville over the weekend with an agent out of, I'll leave the names out of Northern Virginia. I can't reach that agent on the phone. I can't text them. The only thing I can do, I can't email them. All I have to do is do everything through an app that they've got set up. So I can't even help my client by saying, hey, we made an offer. I talked to the agent on the other side and doing my job and saying, okay, this is where we're at the moment. It is just completely blind through it. you're going to start seeing a lot of that going away, I think. But this particular property in Scottsville was, I think, in the right location, definitely the right price, right condition, right feature. It was brand new, renovated. They had showings back to back every half hour over the weekend. We'll see. Multiple offers we're dealing with right now.
Mayor of Waynesboro, the king of Waynesboro, Kevin Yancey. I'll get to your comment in a matter of moments. Comments are coming in fast and furious. Let me ask you this question. Oh, I'm touching the crystal ball here.
Yeah,
Crystal ball
I
camera.
gave up on touching the crystal
Ball camera, Judah. What are, in your opinion, crystal ball, Keith Smith, Swami?
We should have the hats, but definitely not the hats.
Yeah,
today.
my hair is feeling good. Tresemme number 4 is.
You're doing
I got
good.
a little pomade,
Got a
little
little
Tresemme
poof.
number
You got
4.
got a little height there in the front, though.
It's gonna. I missed my haircut last week because I got family in town. So normally I get a haircut once every 3 weeks.
Wow.
I'm about 10 days behind on the haircut because I got family in town for the birth of our
It looks
second
good
son.
on you, though. I like not that. We'll get back to the question.
Look at this. I'm getting
but-
compliments from my
No,
my co-host of my hair. I like that.
No, well, I like it with a little bit of hair on the side instead of that, the tight cut that
The
you
high
do.
and tight? You don't like the high and tight? My wife doesn't like the high and tight either. I will say this: the
Well,
facial.
the fact that I don't like it is immaterial. The fact that she doesn't like
the
it
facial
very
hair
much.
is also a byproduct of having the night shift with a 3-week-old son.
How's that going?
That's going great.
Good.
He gave us 5 hours last night, and I'm going to applaud and give kudos. Right, 5 hours. That's legit. I'll give
I'd kill for 5 hours straight of sleep. No,
5
I wouldn't
hours.
kill, but at my age, if I get over 4.5 hours of nonstop sleep, that's a win.
Generally, it's 3 hours feeding, and then 3 hours. So the 5 hours straight was a blessing. My wife, I'm going to highlight this. My wife, who I hope is watching the program, has been an absolute superstar
Oh, yeah.
throughout this.
They always are.
A superstar. The challenges faced with a mom versus the challenges faced with a dad when it comes to a newborn baby are not comparable. They're
No.
not comparable.
Not
love
even
you,
the same
sweetheart.
universe, excuse me.
Yeah, not even the same universe.
Not in the same
We bottle feed. They have to use their body parts to feed. It's completely different.
Yep.
So I want to highlight this. This is the question I have for you, and then we'll get to the viewers and listeners. Your crystal ball. You said micro markets matter. What will be the
MMM.
micro market? Ooh, M cubed.
That's right.
Micro markets matter.
I got to look up what that cube thing
M cube.
cube.
What will
Is that,
be
is that the thing we put in our drinks? Is that what
Yes, that is. Those are ice cubes.
I got it.
What will be give us 5 hot micro markets in 2023. 5 hot micro markets. And then I'm going to ask you 5 markets that may be softening in 2023.
Oh.
Let's go with the hot ones first. Crystal ball.
Oh.
Car footprint. Car footprint.
Car footprint, hot ones.
5 of them.
Yeah. Well, I think 5 is going to be hard. So do you want to go down to subdivisions or just general
Yes,
area?
subdivisions.
So I think we'll find out when we start crunching the numbers the next couple of weeks for our early January shows. You're going to find HOA subdivisions are going to outperform other ones. So I think what you're going to see is markets, let's say outside of the city of Charlottesville, because we have enough HOAs inside of the city of Charlottesville, but I wouldn't really encapsulate that. But you're going to find when we start pulling apart different areas, because that's what I'm preparing for the January shows. I think, if you're in an HOA, Lake Monticello, Crozet, Forest Lake, some of the new subdivisions that are coming in, you're going to find them probably outperforming some of the ones that are not out.
Why HOA subdivisions?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I don't have a reason why. I just think that's what the numbers are going to point to.
But what's your hunch why? Why HOAs?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is stability. People are going to want stability. People are going to want certain things. I think this whole Zoomtown thing has gone away. I think I think you're going to find when NAR starts putting out its numbers in the beginning of 2023, mid-2023, you're going to find there's some great articles that I've been reading. This whole Zoomtown thing is kind of doing a 180 out that way.
You're saying people have to go back to work.
People going back to work.
I've been telling that to Judah for months.
That he has to go back to work?
No, Judah and I grind in this office.
Yeah.
But the leverage the employee had during COVID is gone.
Yeah, so I I don't think it's ever going to go away. I think you're going to see a good split down the middle on it. But I think a lot of it you're going to see is folks may have moved out to a certain rural jurisdiction, just or whatever it might be, on that end of it. And
During COVID,
may have
because they could work from an ISP.
and either A, they're being told they got to come back in, or come back in 50% of the time, or some amount of that time.
I think that's very true.
Or B, that they maybe don't like it there. Maybe they want to be closer in. The traffic is picking back up again.
Traffic
'Cause
is picking back up.
People are back on the road.
That's
They
true.
weren't on that. You know, the people are trying to navigate this divergent diamond interchange at
Pantops.
Pantops.
I try to avoid it every day, literally.
Well, I've always avoided Pantops because it's just Pantops.
I mean, you know, like everyone has beef, and I'm getting you off track, and I apologize. That's my fault, viewers and listeners. I
just
live
lets my
in.
ADD to kick
So
in.
is mine. So is mine. I live in eastern Albemarle County, so I literally try to avoid the Pantops diamond divergent interchange, whatever they call it.
Divergent diamond interchange.
I call it a cluster.
Yeah, but
Duck,
look,
quack, quack, quack.
Yeah, so let's defend VDOT on this.
And we got to offer perspective. I'll defend them. You want me to?
Yeah, no,
Sure.
I'm going to drink my coffee.
Well, here's how I
I'm going
defend
to play
it.
with Mr. Predicto.
And you know firsthand about this.
I do.
The Zion's Crossroads, the Zion's Crossroads roundabout was a cluster duck until the roundabout was finished. And once the cautionary cones were removed, then the roundabout is seamless and flawless.
So it's not a roundabout. That's a divergent diamond interchange.
Okay, it was a cluster. You know what?
was
And
a-
then once it was done, it was fine. And then
Yeah.
VDOT needs to start timing the lights. They need to get the extra lanes open, and then let's give them a chance to finish the project before we judge them.
Yeah. So and it's literally what I told my wife because she was like, blah 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 blah. And oh, by the way, they're in Europe. These divergent diamond interchange, France in particular. We've driven on these before. The reality of it is exactly as you outlined. It is, they're trying to build a divergent diamond interchange in probably the busiest intersection, I think, in volume in the Charlottesville area.
No doubt. The only other busier intersection would be Rio and 29.
Yeah, well, what they built.
They did the bypass.
The underpass.
Yeah.
The underpass on that, which was a cluster
It was a cluster.
while they were building it, right? Now,
It's this one.
not so much. But yeah, so they're trying to build it. I think they should be doing most of the work at night, but that was just my personal opinion on that instead of doing it during the day. The cones are confusing.
Oh, no doubt.
If you don't know where you're going or how to drive through it, it can be very confusing. I mean, I've had people hit their brakes in the middle of the intersection
Yeah.
as they're going through and all that stuff. And then once it's done and paved and lined correctly,
And people are used to it.
well, that'll happen in time, but it's not finished yet.
Right.
It's kind of
The lights don't have the right
it's kind
timing.
of like going over the Belmont Bridge, right? Now they just changed the pattern on the Belmont Bridge, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's like, the red lights are coming on because we're creatures of habit, right? And, we're driving, up 250 for 20 some odd, 30 some odd years, 35 years. And you're used to going straight and underneath the bridge and now hold it, like have to make a left to go straight. How does that work? So it'll take a little bit of time. The reason they use that, it's very similar to the reason why they used it in Science Crossroads, is in theory, the way the engineers designed it, it moves the same amount of volume as one of these huge four-leaf clover intersections. And there wasn't enough right-of-way to do that, right? Because there was, there's a hotel on the corner. It's just they didn't have enough land to go into. Plus, the budgets are hugely different. It's much cheaper to do that. So give them a little bit of time.
Amen.
But I got to tell you, even before this, I stayed the hell away from
I mean, and that's another thing I want to highlight to the
I'd
viewers
stay
and
the hell
listeners.
away from it.
I use the interstate. I go Black Cat Road to 64. I go Route 53, Carter's Mountain, Milton Village, and backdoor from Stone Robinson.
Miss-
There are alternate routes, people.
Mr. Williamson's office is at the Carr Building, and that's where we used to have meetings. And I just came off the board, but we would have board meetings there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I would go from Lake Monticello, 53 to exactly what you said, 20. Get on 64, go all the way up to 29, and then 20. Then
And you backdoor it.
the back door, you make a left over by Food Lion. Excuse me, at Food Lion. Make a left over by Whole Food. You make a left on the right, or make a right on on where Whole Foods is, backdoor it in, you're done. But it's interesting. We talked about before we went live. I'm heading up to Connecticut to visit the grandbabies on the 22nd, I think. And I just despise the traffic up there because every conversation that you have is about, hey, I got to get a gallon of milk, and you have to have the traffic pattern on it. So it'll take a little while. We'll get there.
Philip Dow, the king of Scottsville. I live in Scottsville, and it's wonderful traffic-wise. When I'm in Charlottesville, my blood pressure goes up. Kevin Yancey says the biggest cluster intersection in Charlottesville is 10th Street, Grady Avenue, and Preston Avenue. That's over there by Dairy Market.
So inside the city, I would agree with that.
That's a tough one, Kevin Yancey.
Yeah, so they're supposed.
That's an unsafe one for pedestrians and bicycle riders, undoubtedly.
They've been working through it, and Mr. Williamson can add to this. They've been working through a plan through the city to redo that because that's not VDOT. The city needs to do that. Right. The city needs to allocate the money, yada, yada, yada. It goes through a whole project on that. I believe maybe VDOT, and I don't know this for sure, only Mr. Williamson would be able to correct me on this or somebody else. I'm not so sure if there's a little VDOT funds in that, but it is not owned by VDOT, and the city needs to do all the work.
Why not take the train to Connecticut, people are asking?
I do all the time. But it's going to be pretty hard bringing back the 6,000 pounds of alcohol that I'm going to buy for the bets I'm going to.
And the Christmas presents.
And the Christmas presents. And to be honest with you, the prices have kind of shot up.
On the train?
Oh, yeah. We do that regularly. We literally take it up to Stamford, Connecticut. It's the northeast.
One of the highest cost of living areas in America, Stamford, Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
My brother-in-law and his girlfriend live there.
Yeah. Well,
astronomical what they're paying for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in rent.
Try paying taxes, real estate taxes there.
Yeah.
Property taxes there.
In Connecticut.
In Connecticut.
Stamford specifically, or Connecticut in general?
Connecticut in general. The certain areas are a little bit more cost-effective than others, but it's these are mortgage payments per month. Stuff. It's huge dollars. Yeah, so we do take it all the time. Just this time, we're doing Santa Claus is doing the show on the 21st, and I think.
Are you guys leaving Thursday?
No, we're going to leave right after the show.
You are.
Yeah.
So you're having the Christmas party here. 30 people. The guest list was supposed to be 8 people. Maybe we're going to leave
Thursday morning.
And then you're leaving on Thursday morning. Okay.
We'll see how the game. We got to check out ways and find out what the traffic. But I loved just to finish the train thing. I freaking love it. It is great. If we're just not hauling a bunch of stuff on it, it's great.
What's the train round trip cost?
You got to book it in advance. It can run a couple $100 a person.
Round trip.
Round trip, yeah. But we usually, and this sounds fancier than what it is. We normally book the business
class.
It's only $30 extra. But the real reason we do it, it's the one car that absolutely always has Wi-Fi from the beginning to the end for whatever reason on that end of it. But our normal trip is we park the car over by the train station. First we go to Bodo's, we get our lunch, we may get a little bit of something to drink, and then we sit in the thing and we actually work, take a nap. Next thing you know, you're in Stamford.
There you go.
Take an Uber to the house and we're done.
You can't beat that.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Absolutely can't beat that. So you were
It's just a little expensive, though.
You were talking about micro markets that are on fire in 2023.
Yeah, so
I'm going to ask you the micro markets that may not be on fire in 2023 as well.
Yeah, so I again, location, features, condition, and timing is going to matter.
And who's on the other side of the table?
And timing.
Okay.
Right. You know what the secret to telling a good joke is, right?
To what?
Ask me that question.
What's the secret to
timing? But I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. That was a dad joke.
That was a dad joke.
If there ever was one. Yeah. So it's going to be really hard because it has to hit those top 4. Timing and who's on the other side definitely matters as far as the transaction goes. But in order to get that contract, it's got to be in the right location. It's got to be priced right. Right, and it's got to have the right features, got to have the right conditions. The buyers today are not going to want to do any upgrades to your house, you got to have it right. There's some listings I've been looking at for a couple of buyer clients of ours. They're just not willing to make renovation work, or not willing to put an offer in knowing that the roof is at the end of its life, the HVAC. So if you can do all those things, that helps you. That's where the difference is going to be. I think as far as overall market, some of the HOAs will outperform some of the rural properties out that way. I think a lot of it will be availability, though. I think you'll see, where the inventory is starting to grow is where the market is going to do the best, I think.
Micro markets that are not going to do well in 2023.
Yeah, so I've been talking about this for a while, right? 2 years ago, last 2 years, the rubber band was huge. It just kept on stretching. It didn't matter if you had to drive to qualify or took the company jet to qualify, right? Whatever that for the rubber bands.
I get it. I get
the rubber bands up on that. It's going to be more shaped like a pear. I think you're going to see closer to the city, closer to the urban ring, some of the areas of Fluvanna County, Greene County, and then it's going to poke up on the top of what a pear shape would be, where Waynesboro and Stanton. That's going to perform well. So that's it. If you're in that pear-shaped rubber band, for lack of a better term, and you're in you hit those right four, you're gonna do good. The question that you're going to ask me next is how much appreciation we're going to have.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, it's going to be low single digits.
In 2023?
Yeah, we're not going to go backwards, but it's going to be low single digits. Again, it'll depend if you hit these first four right. If you hit these first four right, I think you'll do fine. If it's not the right features or the right condition, you could go on the negative side, right? Compared to 2022. But, look, we've jumped in the median sales price from 2017, single family detached, no new construction, of $298 to $430 in 6 years. To the median sales price in 2017, single family detached, no new construction, there was 2,342 units sold, 28 days on market, was $298. And like the way I did that, huh? Like that whole flipping thing?
I love it. This is a great stat, what you're putting out here.
2022, so that's 6 years later, there was 2,642 sold, so that's 300 and some odd units more. 6 days on market. Median sales price was $430. So somebody who's smarter than me can do the math between $298.
So it's $130,000 plus
roughly
median sales price.
We'll call the median sales price in 17.
Call it 135.
No, correct. We'll just call it 300,000, 298, 300,000, close enough. And then
so a difference of 135 roughly.
So if you bought 6 years ago, assuming you check all the right boxes and the right location, right features, right conditions, you got $130,000 worth of equity. This is just big picture stuff.
Yeah.
You got to look into it. So I don't think we're going to see that kind of price year over year gain in the next 6 years, but you're going to see the normal 2, 3, 4%. But I want to caution everybody with my crystal ball. It is going to be so micro market matters location, MMM. There's going to be some winners. There's going to be some losers. There's going to be some units that people bought maybe not in the right location, not at the right price, and not at the right features or right condition in 2022. It's going to take them more than 6 years to hit those returns.
Do you think Waynesboro and Augusta County will be the next boom? Yes or no?
I think it's going to continue to be a boom. We have to define a boom.
Do you think Waynesboro and Augusta County will soften?
I think so what are we going to define soft? So if soften is the number of units sold, yes, everything is going to reduce versus 2020, versus 2021, right? 2021, back on that car stat, which by the way does not include Waynesboro or Stanton, in that there was 3,237 units sold, single family detached, no new construction, versus this year 26. That was almost a 600 unit deficit year over year. you're going to start seeing all these markets compared to 2021 reduce. But we're kind of already at 2018 volume. So 2022 is going to hit 2018 volume. It's going to be really close, almost identical kind of on numbers. Waynesboro and Stanton will reduce the number of sales, but they're going to increase. So I think the question is will their percentage increase be greater than the rest of my pair? And I think the answer to that is yes.
You say yes. Kevin Yancey, Mayor Waynesboro, I'm asking that question.
Yeah.
So you do not see traditionally
Oh, yeah.
Traditionally, in times of financial hardship.
That went out the window, I think.
Traditionally, in times of financial hardship, Waynesboro and Augusta County, and the further you are from the epicenter of employment, Charlottesville, that real estate softens, flatlines, or can drop in value. You don't see those historical trends manifesting in 2023.
So I think the difference is going to be the sales price, right? So price matters, right? Location matters, price matters. And these things start bouncing back and forth, right? Then features and conditions. But, if I can buy, and I'm trying to do this live and talk at the same time, which I'm definitely...
It's very challenging.
But if it's priced right, people are going to do that. This whole inflation thing was what we talked about the beginning of this year that I thought was going to be the killer of the market, and I still think it is. It seems to be a little bit stable. It's not going up at a rate that I thought it was going to go up, frankly, this time of year. But we're going to be in a pretty big recession next year. So the question is people got to live somewhere, right? If the prices are right, and again, if I can figure this out here.
Kevin Yancey says already in the pipeline.
There's a ton of new construction going on.
In the city alone, there are 300 plus.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Homes already in the pipeline, new construction.
Without a doubt. Here's the deal with that, though. I'm not so sure a lot of them, and I kind of know these intimately what they are. There'll be a small percentage that hits the market in 2023. Most of them are 2024 units. There's some, the huge percentage of those lots. So if we take new construction out right now, what's active in Augusta and, I'll make sure I'm doing this right, Augusta and Waynesboro right now, hang on one second. I'll let you talk for a second, Mr. Miller.
He's looking at Waynesboro inventory on the MLS as we speak.
So this is Waynesboro and Augusta. I put it together. So there's 88 for sale, and if we count 300 as kind of the break-even point, there's about 25 units, and I have to take a look at what they are. So out of 80, about 25 of them are below $300,000. Then it starts going up pretty quickly after that, so that the median sales price of that 88, which takes out the high and the low, is $398, so almost $400,000 on that. So Waynesboro, I think if that's where the product is, that's where people are going to go, the right price. And I 2 years ago, I would have bet the farm that as soon as we hit inflation, the other side of the hill was going to take a dive, and that simply didn't happen. And it's a matter of where the prices are right.
Time's going to tell. Time will certainly tell. I'm not as bullish as you are on that particular side.
So you think the other side is going to take a hit?
I think
2023?
Yeah.
And what's your reasoning for that?
I think when there's a recession, every single dollar counts.
Sure.
And someone having to drive from Waynesboro and Augusta County on the other side of the mountain to Charlottesville and Albemarle County for a job, that's going to cost money.
Yeah, but where are they going to go? So that's the thing.
Same place they were going before they were living in Waynesboro and Augusta County.
So they're paying exorbitant rents here.
I think the exorbitant rent in Charlottesville and Albemarle County is, while it's high, the cost to drive from Waynesboro and Augusta County is going to basically balance out the exorbitant rent. And then they're going to start weighing the opportunity cost of their time in commuting from Augusta and Albemarle County and Augusta County to Charlottesville and Albemarle.
So
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
So back to your crystal ball. So let's. Well, I'm not so sure I'm willing to take a bet on the other side of the hill, because I honestly believe if gas stays below $4 a gallon.
I mean, there's not the volume of jobs there.
No, they're traveling to here.
Yeah, there's just not the volume of jobs.
Yeah. And that's
My friends that bought, like a significant amount of friends that are millennials that bought in Waynesboro.
in the tree streets.
Yeah, love the tree streets.
Yeah.
They're now saying, wow, we underestimated how
The
much
cost.
time we're spending in our car and away from our families and our kids.
So
Like doctors, Keith, are saying this.
I get it. And
Doctors.
so the question becomes, okay, great. So if I'm going to buy a home and I don't want to travel, look, I think at a certain price point, you're traveling 30, 45 minutes anyway, right? You're either going to be in Lake Monticello, let's assume you're working at UVA, Lake Monticello to UVA, depending on traffic and when you got to be there, 30 to 45 minutes. I think the next hot local car footprint area is going to be Greene County.
Greene County I can buy. Greene County's not that far.
Well, it depends on the traffic, and Mr. Williamson will know this better than anybody, but it depends on what time the traffic is, and depending on where you're at in Greene County, from Greene County to UVA, that could be a 45-minute drive,
I mean,
too.
depending on the traffic.
Depending
you
on
can
the
also get from Greene County to UVA in 20 minutes.
You can, depending on, if you're on the Ruckersville
Yeah,
side.
the Ruckersville side, the Albemarle County line side.
So I think you're going to start seeing some developments happening towards Standardsville. In fact, I know you are. Towards Standardsville, you're going to see Greene County grow, because I witnessed it in the Greene County, at least the body language anyway, at the Board of Supervisors when I gave a presentation with Ned Galloway and I over there. Because we gave the presentation for the Regional Housing Partnership, which is obviously housing focused on it. And, the vibe I got from the room was I think they get it there. I may be wrong, but I think they get it there, and I think you're going to start seeing projects migrate that way. If I remember the stat that Neil said, he's like something like 2,000 units in the pipeline over there, in some version of submittal of site plan or rezoning or about ready to start construction. So I think Greene County is going to be it. They've now owned their water system, which is a huge thing. I've been preaching Zion's Crossroads forever. Man, as far as housing goes, I just don't see it happening there.
I agree.
And I'm sorry to say that. I think my county is going to approve an industrial park this week. I think over there in Zion's Crossroads, there's a project that's in the rezoning process. I'm a betting man they'll probably approve that, something like 800,000 or 1 million square feet of industrial. I think the thought process is to get their own sort of Walmart distribution center or something like that, which is a great revenue producer. I think it's just a rezoning is what they're trying to do. I don't think in fact, I'm 100% sure they don't have anybody in their back pocket to fill in the slot. I know everybody that I talk to that's trying to go to Zion's Crossroads on the Louisa side, they won't come that way because there's nobody to work. There's no rooftops.
Kevin Yancey is talking about Amazon in Augusta County.
Yeah, I agree.
Look, Kevin, Amazon in Augusta County, that's a big deal. Amazon opening a fulfillment center, a warehouse in the valley is a big deal. But the reality is it's 500 jobs. And you're putting in the feed here that there are not 10 employers in Charlottesville and Albemarle County that employ 500 people. That's incorrect. There's many employers in Charlottesville and Albemarle County that have 500 people on their payroll. I mean, there are many. I can rattle off a handful of them right now without even thinking. Keith can rattle off a handful of them right now without even thinking.
You've got these 100-person high-tech jobs.
I mean, Charlottesville has over 500 employees. Albemarle County has over 500 employees. How many divisions of the University of Virginia have over 500 employees? CFA, how many employees does CFA have? How many employees does State Farm have working remotely in this market? I mean, this is literally just off the top of my head. There's plenty of employees. Willow Tree, how many employees? I mean, there's plenty of people that have in the ballpark of here. I understand that 500 employees in Augusta County is a big deal, and I'm not marginalizing
Well,
that.
here's the problem with that. Because I'm literally looking at what's available. If you're on the buy side, that's going to put more pressure on it because you've got people coming from Charlottesville that's working at these Willow Trees. Well, maybe not Willow Trees, but working at some of these other businesses that's around that. The UVA. The contractor that's working for UVA,
Yeah.
or plumber or electrician or mechanic or teacher for that matter. I mean, we just closed on Friday 2 of our land trust units for 2 Albemarle County school teachers, which I was in tears when we closed it. Their other option, because their rents went from, in the 3 years, went from $800 to $1,600 for a 1-bedroom studio. So they would have gone out west. So I think where the impact on the other side of the hill is going to be is this 500, because it's going to bring people in to work there, plus the people that are living here that can't afford here is going to live there. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on the other side of the hill. 500 jobs is huge.
I'm not marginalizing 500 jobs, but I'm just saying, like, this impact of Amazon.
The question is
and
where they're
500
going to live.
Jobs, it's not like.
But where are they going to live?
You know where they're going to choose to live?
Around Augusta County. Well, or Waynesboro.
Yeah.
And that's going to put a huge amount of pressure on the folks that come in. The prices are going to drive up.
There's just not the depth
Look.
of jobs in Augusta and Waynesboro as Charlottesville and Albemarle.
Look.
And I need to also highlight this. This is a reality here. The jobs that Amazon's going to create in this fulfillment center
There'll be $20 an hour jobs.
are going to be $20 an hour jobs.
Yeah.
We're not talking about $100,000 plus jobs here.
Yeah. So that's my point. So the 20-hour an hour,
They're $20 an hour jobs.
$20 to $25. Let's call it 20 to 30, just to pick a number.
There you go.
Range on that. So the people that are making 20 to 30 hours here, that's my point of trying. Where they're going to go? They're going to go to where the rent is, or where they can afford to buy. So now these extra $500 is going to put a little bit of extra.
500 jobs.
Excuse me, 500 jobs. Thank you. Is going to put a little extra pressure on it. But it goes back to,
I mean, Lynn Snyder is saying this. Lynn Snyder is correcting this. Lynn Snyder is watching on one of the 15 Facebook pages this is airing on. She says, Amazon does not pay well. Everyone is excited about Amazon coming to the area, but they're paying $12.50 an hour.
So
she highlighted $12.50 an hour.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of revenue streams that Amazon's going to bring. The first one that's going to kick off is all the construction jobs that they're going to have, because it's going to be a couple, I would imagine, a 1 to 2 year build, I would think, because it's like 1 million square feet, I think, or some huge.
1 million square feet.
It's a huge footprint.
The employees will be doing packaging and shipping things like patio furniture and outdoor equipment and rugs to customers.
So I haven't kept an eye on it. I don't know where it is in the process.
It's actually going to open they anticipate spring 2023. Spring 2023.
Okay, so they're in the construction part now. Yeah, so it's going to impact that market there. But look, to quote our dear friend Neil, elections matter, density matters, right? The projects have to get approved, and we have to have this red tape into green tape, because some of these things that Kevin's talking about, projects that are going to get built over there, I don't think a $20 an hour person can afford, right? So this whole missing middle, this whole stuff matters so much, because part of the problem they're going to have, I think, is where they're going to get these 500 folks to work at the $20 an hour, whatever the number is. Maybe there's enough local folks.
I mean,
there.
Lynn is highlighting, she's saying she legitimately knows some of these jobs are starting at $12.50 an hour.
Yeah, I don't know that. So
Sazo is watching. He's one of the owners of Fabio's Pizza on High Street.
Ooh.
We love Fabio's Pizza. Sazo, we love you. He says Augusta County, Jerry and Keith, also has the Target Distribution Center. Is it Hollister Distribution? Hershey. He says it's the same type of jobs, which the hourly rate we're talking about.
Sure.
And he says the key, however, is the I-81, I-64 corridor.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest reason why these companies are opening distribution centers, because of the ability to get trucks on the road.
And
The land is cheap.
and the jurisdictions want them, which is huge.
Kevin, there's multiple companies building in Albemarle and Charlottesville, Virginia.
So the
Multiple companies are building in Albemarle and Charlottesville,
yeah.
Virginia.
So it's interesting. We are now at a point where, again, I think how we got on this track here is historically, at least from my perspective for 35 years, when to your point, when the economy got into a recession or gas is approaching a certain dollar amount, it seems from a real estate perspective, the other side of the hill slows down. I think when we start talking about the region, it has to include these areas. That this car footprint really needs to include that side of the hill in it, because it's now one big market. Because the Waynesboro home, because I'm just looking at what's in Waynesboro here or in Augusta County, is competing with Lake Monticello,
No doubt.
right? So we're
Except
now
Lake Monticello is closer.
yeah, but we also I don't know how many homes we have on sale have on the market in Lake Monticello. I don't have that tab open, but overall market, that's what's happening. That price point is now competing at two ends of the spectrum. Fluvanna County, for all intents and purposes, and it's my county. I've been living there for 35 years. Is done.
You're maxed out.
They're not gonna, at least for the next.
Leadership doesn't want the density. Right now, you're at capacity.
Where the last project that's going to be built of any size is Colonial Circle, and that's thought will delivering the end of this year. It's going to be end of next year, mid to end of next year. There is going to be no new real estate residential projects approved. There'll be a bunch of, like maybe some existing subdivisions, small little minor subdivisions that might get built, but that's it. They will, and that's okay, they will approve some of this industrial and commercial and stuff like that, but I think it's important to point out on this rezoning that they're going to have this Wednesday on it, it's just a rezoning. The people rezoning do not have companies ready to move in. It's kind of like that project that they rezoned by Lake Monticello, right? They all talked about a food store was going to go there and an urgent care facility. That didn't happen. They did not have contracts written with UVA or Aldi food store. That was just what they wanted to see there on it. So it's just a rezoning. Now you have to actually find somebody that's willing to take that spot on the end of it. Where the other side of the hill got it right, they do have these companies come, these larger industrial distribution kind of things. On this side of the hill, it's more high tech. It's a very different employee pool. If that makes any sense.
I mean, the UVA Hotel Conference Center.
Yeah.
The UVA Hotel is literally being built on Ivy Road. A conference center is being built on Ivy Road.
I mean,
the Code building just got built on the downtown mall.
Well, back to that UVA thing, they've got their
They're hiring hundreds of people.
But where are they coming from?
They're coming from outside the area. Or they're coming from Waynesboro and Augusta County.
There you go. And again,
I mean, the University of Virginia is expanding everywhere.
So don't you think
They literally are building a brand new hotel and conference center on Ivy Road.
This missing middle needs to be addressed. And
I can assure you those jobs are net at $12.50 an hour.
So are they working for the university, or they're working for the management company?
That I don't know.
Yeah, some of them.
Because I know the management team, friend of the program, Russ Kronberg, is working for the university. And he's going to be the director of hospitality. He manages the Boardside Resort and will also manage the conference center and the hotel. So now, I don't know if the staff will be.
If they're UVA employees, there's much.
It's $15 an hour minimum.
Well, but you got the perks that make it different.
Exactly.
So that you're in the retirement system, health care system. There's a whole different level of thing on that. And I'm going to have to let you talk for a second because one of my mustache hairs.
Okay. Kev, I look, man. I'm very excited, Kevin Yancey, about Augusta and Amazon. I am not as excited about Augusta and Waynesboro now that this work from home and work from an ISP is losing momentum.
So
People are having to come to work now.
Yeah.
And then the folks are asking themselves, good night. This was great when I could work from my basement in an ISP address, but now my boss wants me to go into work half the time, if not more, and they're having to get in the road and deal with $3 a gallon gas. And I know gas is going down, but it's still $3 a gallon.
And we also, and we had this conversation before, every time I started, before the advent or the growth of the electric car sales, you can get a Bolt or something like that, go over the hill.
It's still like 8% of market share, electric vehicles.
And try getting them, and they're not cheap.
Yeah.
The reality of it is, to go back to Neil Williamson's comments about missing middle, that housing for all matters. I'm more concerned. Look, the overall market, if you're in the right location, right price, right features, right condition, you will do well for the next 12 to 24 months. You may not get the appreciation year over year that we got the last couple of years, but at the end of the day, that was unrealistic. Just like a 2% 30-year mortgage.
It was an anomaly.
It was unrealistic. It's going to go back to normal. But all that stuff won't matter if there isn't things for people to buy. And, maybe Santa Claus might ask some of the elected officials for their wish list. I don't know. I think they will, and all that end of it. But
I don't think they're. I want to ask you this question.
Not to do that on Wednesday.
I can count on one hand the number of elected officials in Albemarle County, Charlottesville City, and Fluvanna County. I've gotten to know the elected officials in Fluvanna County thanks to you.
Yeah.
I know the elected officials in Albemarle County and Charlottesville City well with what I do.
Yeah.
I could count in those three jurisdictions, Albemarle County, Fluvanna County, and Charlottesville
City. You
City.
can add Greene to that. You can add even Nelson. Nelson is a little bit more aggressive, but they just don't have the infrastructure. They have the internet. Thank you to
Jesse Rutherford. We love you, Jesse.
Which
I can count on one hand the number of people that are pro-density in housing.
Yeah.
And those jurisdictions. One hand.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. But eventually, the pressure is going to have to change that. Or what's going to happen here is a divide. That's what I was trying to get to earlier. The divide between the haves and the have-nots, or one area to the other. Without that middle, I'm going to get myself into trouble here. What time is it? Do I have enough time?
You got about 2.5 minutes here.
Okay. We'll get ourselves into trouble next year, because there's a prediction that I don't think interest rates. I'm just going to throw this out there for a January conversation. I don't think interest rates are going to matter on the buy-in and the sell-in. I think the market's adjusted to that. It's going to be a generational impact.
Oh no, we've already seen that.
It's going to be a generational impact. I think that is what's really going to impact the market, because the millennial and the boomer are competing for the same product, the same price point. The boomer has got a little bit more, typical boomer might have a little bit more cash that can outbid that.
Definitely.
But I'm seeing that helping millennials. I love helping young people buy homes. My wife and I, we just love doing that. We love handing those set of keys to them and just watching them start their journey of home ownership. But you're competing against Keith and Yona, and that's where the rubber's going to meet the road. And then once that pressure starts getting there, and these millennials show up to boards and city council meetings and start voicing their thing, the NIMBYs they're winning right now, right? And they generally are not a huge group that shows up. But the YIMBYs, the yes, or the people that are saying, hey, what about us, are not showing up. Once those folks start showing up in mass, you might see that single hand change. I might be wrong, but I think you're going to start seeing it. That's how it worked out west on that end of it. But that's not prediction time yet.
No, that's a topic for a show.
That's a whole different venue.
I mean, here's the reality is, and to close here for Charlottesville and Albemarle County,
I can't wait to talk to.
We have a massive engine in UVA
Yeah.
that is literally expanding its tentacles all over Charlottesville and Albemarle. It's expanded its tentacles so much in Charlottesville City, it's now going west into Albemarle County.
Well, most of it's in Albemarle anyway. Let's call
No, it is Albemarle.
It is. Very little of it is in the city.
Charlottesville City, you got the West Main corridor.
And that's about it.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay? If someone doesn't realize that Charlottesville, that UVA is coming down West Main to the downtown mall, they're not in touch with reality. And if they don't see that UVA is going down 250 toward Ivy and beyond, they're not in touch with reality here.
Yeah.
And every time they expand and add more schools and conference centers and data science schools and hotels, they have to hire more people.
Yeah, I was in a different country wearing a UVA hat, and I can't tell you how many people pulled up and said, hey, I'm a graduate of UVA.
My dad is in town. He's a University of Virginia graduate. We were walking yesterday.
I did not know that.
Yep, we were walking yesterday. We walked. He wanted to see the building, and then we met family for the UVA basketball game on the corner. So my parents and my oldest son and I, we walked from the downtown
That was
mall.
not a good game, by the way.
Yeah, it was not a good game. Down West Main to the UVA corner for lunch, late lunch, and in the process of walking there, he was astonished by how
When did he
much.
graduate?
72. He was astonished by how much real estate the University of Virginia had purchased on West Main Street.
And so,
Astonished.
So that's a buyer profile that you won't see on the other side of the hill, right? The buyer profile, so many people that we help that are my age, they went to UVA in the 60s and the 70s, in the 80s, some of them in the 80s, and guess what they're doing?
Oh, he would move back here in a heartbeat.
That's exactly right. They're coming back.
Sell their whole massive equity in their house.
That's exactly what's
I
happening.
mean, heck, no debt on their house. No debt.
But it's interesting how it's going to
their house.
impact, because this was our upper end market depends on what happens in the Northeast, right? So the people that are in Northern Virginia or, let's say the Northeast states that are retired, sold their house, how that market either goes up or down could impact this market
No doubt.
on that end of it. But I'll tell you, every downturn I've ever been part of, there's enough units selling up there. They just don't make as much money. Instead of making this, they make this, but it's still enough to buy here and put a little bit of money in the
Right.
in the thing.
Right. Keith Smith, Judah Wickhauer, Jerry Miller, Real
Oh,
Talk with
geez.
Keith Smith. The Wednesday edition of Real Talk will be a Christmas party extravaganza. The caveat for coming on air.
You need to have a sweater on, and it has to either be the three categories are going to be best overall, ugliest, and most festive. And then, there will be some awards given for who busts Santa's chops enough on that end of it. But
I don't
again,
think
you're
you have any
going to do
problem.
that at your own risk.
I
So
don't think you have any problem with that.
you may get moved off the list. So, but Santa's working on his list, by the way.
He's a great guy. Keith Smith, Jerry Miller, Judah Wickhauer. All the shows archived on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Thank you kindly for joining us on a Monday. The I Live Seville show is up in approximately 46 minutes. We will see you very shortly. Very nicely done, Keith. That was
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Other than
It's absolutely flawless.
whoa,
Mr. Predicto.
Mr. Predicto.
Good job, Judah Wickhauer. Good job.